Hello everyone, this is Joanna. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. And for those of you who are new, welcome, and I hope you stay here and I hope you like what you hear. These are going to be your messages for the month of October. I have made a point on most of the videos to be very vocal about what my intention is with these messages. And I was actually asked by my spiritual team to let you know what that intention is and the purpose for why I do this. And the main reason why I do this for you, why I give you messages, is to give you tools and understandings so that you can apply it in your life in a way that allows you to feel freer, to feel much more empowered, to feel less stuck, to feel much happier. So that is what my intention is with every single message that I receive from Spirit. So whether you are a Taurus or whether you are Virgo, whether you are Scorpio or some other sign, whatever comes through these messages for you, they're meant to make you think, they're meant to make you stop and pause, and they're meant to make you reevaluate perhaps some things in your life. That also means that the focus isn't as much on predictions, and the basic idea for it, or the main reason for it, is the predictive component of your future is very much tied to you and who you are as a person and what your beliefs are. So for me to say this is going to happen is very much dependent on where you're at. And I think most of you get that. But my greatest joy and my greatest wish for you is always to hear that my messages help you, because they help you stop and think, and as a result of that you reevaluate some things, you shuffle some things in your mind, and you begin to have a brand new perspective which changes your perception of everything. So that is my intention for you, and it's important that I say this to you so that when you listen to this, you may say, that's not for me, I want to know what's going to happen. Or you may say, this is exactly for me because I want to know what's preventing me from certain things in my life. These messages, as you notice, are coming early for you. I will try to make it a habit of making them early. It is not the easiest task with my full plate, but I will do the best I can. I am also going to be offering live sessions on YouTube, so stay tuned. And I will do my best to do one in October. So stay tuned. This will be, I will let you know. And as always, thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for subscribing. Without you, I always say, I wouldn't do this. And it brings me great joy and great happiness to see your comments on how my messages help you. And I think that's all I have. I hope you enjoy these. Of course, if it doesn't make sense to you at the beginning of when you hear it, listen to it towards the end of the month. You guys tell me that more often than not, it applies to you way more. So without further ado, let's get moving. Hello, beautiful Libra. These are going to be your messages for the month of October 2018. Let me start off with some messages first. Actually, let me just tune into how I feel for your overall energy for the month of October. I feel excited, and the excitement is about me getting something, but I'm so not used to getting it, I don't know if I can have it. And it actually produces a feeling of sadness inside of me, because it makes me feel, and I'm you, it makes me feel like I almost don't feel if I'm worthy of having it. And I'm feeling it in my throat, so it's affecting my ability to express confidently, but it's also wanting me to shove my emotions down. So there is going to be some trigger for some of you. Looks like in the month of October, where you will be facing something very important or something very exciting, and it is in the realm of you receiving, but somehow it almost feels like you don't know if you can have it. And I wish I could explain more what I feel, but there's a certain level of sadness that comes through. And when I feel this, I keep feeling that there is some fundamental challenge with when it comes to receiving. And it's interesting because the first card you have is unconditional love, and things around that. So for those of you who this makes sense to or will make sense to, be prepared that you will be facing something in the month of October, maybe a little bit of November, where somebody will want to give to you, or you will be in receipt of something, and it'll well you up because, one, you're not used to receiving it, or receiving this something big like this, something significant. Two, you're not sure if you can trust it. In other words, you don't know if it's going to stay, therefore if it's real. And three is you're not really knowing what to do with it. So for some of you, this is going to be very clearly around relationships, and I just felt very much grounded. So number 6 and number 9 is being shown to me. 6 being the number of lovers, and I have a similar card for you. It is also, so it's relationship. It is also symbolic of union of inside of you between your masculine and feminine energies, and it's flipping on its side, which is also meaning that there are endings in what I just described, or letting go, I should say. So either letting go of certain things in your relationships or around relationships, or letting certain things no longer affect you the way they did. And you will know exactly what I mean when you experience this in the month of October. It is general, but it's supposed to cover pretty much everybody. So whatever this is, when you receive it, whether it's a gift, whether it's a proposal, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's just something out of the blue that the universe just plunked at you, plunked in front of you, whatever it is, for many of you, it will feel unexpected. So that sounds great to me because it feels like it's a blessing. So if you're wanting a relationship, you might find one. If you're wanting to have a long-term relationship with somebody, you might get proposed to by surprise. Although you probably expect that. Anyway, you guys will know what this means. The card that represents your month is the card of unconditional love. So this is epiphanies around the idea of unconditional love. So what do I mean by this? How you give and receive love. Are you capable of giving without attachments, or are you capable of receiving without fearing that something is going to go wrong? This will fundamentally affect your desires as far as what's the word I'm looking for? It'll affect your ability to create what you want, because if you want something more in your life and you are not used to receiving it, there is a emotional flaw, so to speak, in your belief system that somehow believes you can't. The moment you believe you can't have something, do something, be something, is the moment you will start seeing it in front of you, because that's what you will look for. In other words, you will keep manifesting the same. So whatever you guys have been doing sounds to me like you've been doing a lot of work on your emotional body, and it sounds like in the month of October you might start seeing the fruition of that hard work, or the fruits of your labor. So it sounds to me like some of you will be receiving something significant, and you will feel that it's going to be this choking sensation that it's for some of you it's going to be overwhelming. I have no idea what it would be, but if you want to comment, that would be very exciting. So notice any areas in your love life particularly, but also any condition in your life where you give or receive. A job is another example. Notice what your ideas are around receiving in your work. In other words, do you believe that you won't do better, and therefore you stay there because it is what it is? Because if that's the case, and that just describes a brief scenario, a very classic scenario, I would say, then it's going to be very hard for you to attract something better and something different because you're set on the idea that it doesn't exist for you. And this sort of belief will affect everything in your life, particularly attracting abundance. And abundance comes in various forms: health, money, relationship, possessions, feeling good, all of that. So what's happening in October? You have soulmates, you have conflict and chaos in protection, and you have truth be told. So it feels like for some of you, this is going to be in a relationship where something will transpire that will make things uncomfortable. So if you are in a relationship with a spouse, with a partner, with a loved one, something might come up in the month of October where it will cause some inner conflict, at least inside of you. The truth be told card suggests that there is something to be learned from this particular scenario. So if you are, for example, being given an extraordinary gift from somebody and it causes a whole bunch of conflict inside of you, that's a perfect opportunity to ask yourself, why do I feel this way despite the fact that something good is happening? So this will mean something to you if it's supposed to. For those of you who are working in jobs where they don't really matter. No, I'm going to rephrase. It's not that jobs don't matter. If you are working, particularly in a place where you are not crazy about the idea being there, something might transpire in the month of October where it will cause you some inner conflict. It'll cause you to question. It'll force you to question. It'll show your ability to think clearly and judge. And it's an opportunity for you to be very honest with yourself. So it sounds like for some of you, this may be some obstacles that you will face in order for you to overcome it by knowing exactly what it is. The Judgment in reverse and Page of Cups to me signifies that there is the situation that needs to come to an end, and you are choosing not to look at it, you are refusing to deal with it, or you simply just don't know how to move forward. So for those of you who this is an ending of a situation, oftentimes we get stuck in places where we don't want because we believe we can't have any different or nothing different exists. We don't think about it every day, but we choose to believe that on some level. When that is the case, or if that is the case, then changing your current conditions will become very difficult for you, particularly because you believe there is nothing out there for you that's better than this. So you won't even try. And the question to ask is, if you are in such situation, if where I'm at doesn't serve me and I'm still here and I remain to be here and I'm choosing to be here, how is this serving me? And this is going to be, again, for those of you more likely than not in some significant relationships. It may also be in a part of your life where you spend significant time. So it's like your other life. This could be work. Obviously, this could be a relationship. Anything that requires a lot of emotional and mental commitment to. So obviously job is one of those. Any sort of responsibility that you are attached to on some level, that at one point served you, but now not so much. If you are still there, you need to ask yourself the question, why? Why do I choose to be there? Some of you, it's because you are emotionally not ready yet to forgive. That's the word that came, so it's going to be very specific. And let me just see if I can tune into that. Forgive who or for what? They're not ready to forgive themselves yet for having done something wrong. So some of you are continually punishing yourself for something that you did or didn't do at some point in your earlier life. It's almost as if you are still so attached to guilt somehow that guilt is not allowing you to progress and move forward, but it just keeps you stuck in the status quo. You will know exactly what this means once you feel it in your life. You'll know exactly what it means. So what do I want to say about it? It's time to move on and leave the past behind. For those of you who are receiving this amazing gift, this amazing message, this may not be the message for you. But for those of you who are stuck in such situations that I just explained, this will be much more meaningful. I also felt that the refusal to look at some things stems from the fact that, number one, it's hard for you to believe that what you know is in fact true. In other words, you constantly doubt and question yourself, and that will absolutely minimize any possibility of you making a drastic change, because you're always going to be wondering if you are normal, if you should do this, if you're right, what if I'm exaggerating, what if it's actually okay and I'm just asking for too much. That will absolutely not help you move forward. But number two, it also absolves you of your responsibility of being responsible for yourself. In other words, if you are attached to something unhealthy, you are the one that is continuing to put the effort to stay there. So if that is the case, and effort is required to stay in an unhealthy situation, you have to ask yourself the question, why? Why do I continue to choose this for me, knowing that it doesn't serve me? And then notice what sort of things come up to the surface. What you will find for most of you is that the idea of undeservingness creeps up to the surface. And undeservingness and unconditional love, well, that goes hand in hand. It's two things in the same equation. It's two extremes. It's two extremes. It's rejection and unconditional love, basically. And that's why this is so important for you to look at your beliefs around giving and receiving, emotionally and otherwise, and notice how you treat yourself versus how you treat others. In other words, if you notice a repetitive pattern of constantly overgiving of yourself to others that clearly doesn't serve you because you're not happy, you have to pause and ask yourself, why do I continue to do this? For those of you who say, I have no other choice, I hear the message coming, think again. You always have a choice. So if you are feeling stuck in a job that is hopeless, and it's kind of painless, but it's hopeless, and you're just going on automatic pilot, and you're not really liking what you do, and you're not making the effort to do anything different, you have to ask yourself, why do I continue to be there? Yes, absolutely, financially, that's very important. But there are other options. There are always other options. If there are no other options available right now in front of you that are better, then you need to shift conscious awareness of how you think about your current environment. Why? Because you're constantly waking up, going to work, feeling miserable that you exist in this job. And that's not a way to live. Why? Because it robs you of happiness. And why would you continue to constantly choose to be robbed of your happiness? And then I'm hearing some of you say, well, it's easy to say. Of course it is. That's why we're talking about it. But just because something is not easy does not mean it is not possible. And you are absolutely capable of creating a change. You're just not giving yourself enough credit. And the reason why is because you fundamentally believe inside of you that you do not deserve. So this is going to hit you right away for those of you who are aware of it. Or some of you need to kind of go dive deep inside and ask yourself some questions and notice what comes up to the surface. We all have this to some degree. It is just how much of it are we aware of and how much of it creates negative impact in our lives when we're clearly trying to have a positive one. So again, the unconditional love, giving, receiving, ability to give, ability to receive, will be highlighted for many of you in the month of October. This is also not a time for you to not want to see things. It's not a time to be in denial, because denial only keeps us stuck. Denial is basically the ability to have information but choosing not to use it, and then complaining that you're stuck. So, that's actually interesting how it was shown to me. So I don't know who this message is for. I would presume it probably fits most of us to some degree. It's just a matter of how much in life we struggle with certain things that we then need to look at it, or it's no big deal. And what you will discover when you go through this self-exploration, that your ability to see things differently will create a vastly different and new experience for you on a positive end. But you need to put the effort into it. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. They're drawing a big circle, which tells me this is a time of completions. Some of you, it's time to move on. It's time to go. And time to go also means moving on from current way of thinking and believing. So that's for some of you. For some of you, the O or the 0 represents the Fool. It is time to let go of the baggage, and it's time to start fresh and start new. And it also symbolizes to me that October, actually, I want to say for the rest of the year, there are opportunities available to you, or there will be opportunities available to you. You just need to open yourself up to them. And again, if you believe you fundamentally don't deserve, you're not going to do any opening of any doors. So it's important for you to examine that. In other words, there's potential for many of you to start fresh in the next few months, between now and April. So it's time to let go of the resistance to change and start creating something new. Yeah, that's all I have. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, listen to it at the end of the month, or even at the beginning of November. This may also be for some of you early in November as well. If it does make sense, I would love to hear or read your comment. For private session, that information, of course, is down below. Thank you again so much. Have yourself a wonderful month of October, and I will see you soon. Bye.